to your words of wisdom for us as to, and of course, you're going to take us through history and the present system and how you're relating to all of them. So, Ijeoma, of course, you're going to tell us about yourself and then a little bit about the symposium, as if you've seen some of the sessions. And of course, you were on the inaugural session. We had some discussion there. So something on that, and then I'll give you 30 seconds. I'll just put up what on my website. I just try and put it up there so where people can find information. So it's your show now, please.
Thank you, Mediator Vikram. It's so nice to be here. And I want to appreciate you for the so much work you're doing. It's quite a lot, hours and weeks and in months. And it's really been quite educative. And I've had so many things from different people. I also enjoyed it just concluded section, very powerful. Well, my name is Ijeoma Ladele, and I'm a Nigerian. I just want to talk a little bit about my mediation journey. It's still a journey in process. Actually, having worked in communities where there is implementation of projects, and I began to see that there are issues that has to do with conflict, land issues, and people saying no to even projects coming to them for development. And informally, there were discussions around mediation and how can we resolve these conflicts. I think as of then, I didn't know what mediation was all about, but I know we're just doing it and making sure that we're able to implement our projects. Whatever that is going to stop us from implementing those projects, we want to make sure that we get over it. So from there, I had to study environmental resource management at first degree level, and that gave me more insights to natural conflicts and natural-based conflict, that's resource-based conflicts, as we have in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. So I kept progressing in terms of academics, and I came to realize that there is conflict even amongst us at the family level, at all levels. And that's led me to actually going for being a trained mediator. And well, like I said, it's been a formal process, but after the training, we have a little understanding about the process of mediation. So that's how my journey started. And I think mediation is something that should be inborn, something that we should all be part of, aside the training, because reflecting back, we're able to make sure that there are resolutions of conflict in communities where we're working. But the training also has some level of addition to the work that we do in mediation. So that's how my mediation journey started. And here I am today, being part of some mediation groups and being trained as a mediator. So talking about the symposium, it's really been insightful and educative, and from different parts of the world, people talking about what they do and the process of mediation in their community. Colonization and decolonization, it's something that has been a very big issue, and I don't think we are free from that, as a country, as a nation, as a region, even across the globe. And I think it's a process, and that we need to keep working towards, achieving this. So Nigeria was colonized by the British, far back 1884, and it's all about the divide and rule policy. And this has kept the nations and the groups away from one another and causing various issues across the country. Well, I cannot talk about Nigerian decolonization without the African decolonization. And looking at the African decolonization, it was actually a process with lots of violence, lots of political turmoil, lots of widespread of unrest, and both in the northern and the sub-Saharan countries. And Nigeria is not far from the process of decolonization as Africa, even though Ghana was the first South-African country that gained independence. And I refer to what the leader then said. That was Kwame Nkrumah, who stated that we believe in the rights of all people to govern themselves. So that was his words. And how can we govern ourselves? We can only do it when we understand ourselves. So going down to memory lane in Nigeria and being decolonized and gaining freedom of independence in the 1960s, in the few days to come, Nigeria will be 62, as an independent country. And what has happened so far has really made us to understand that the British Empire, even prior to this, there were various forms of demonstration, trying to take the space. And even before the colonial time, some African society has, seen that there is need for us to, come together and work towards liberating ourselves. You see, the issue of colonization has taken so long and eaten up into the society. And it's about how do we begin to work towards making sure that our mindset, I talk about mindset, and that's one thing that I believe. Once we change our mindset about the issues that are happening around us, I think we'll be closer to having some level of progress. So mediation in itself is not new. It's something that has been in existence. Like we have the mediation practice in Nigeria, where Nigeria has gotten the alternative dispute resolution process running. And this actually has really helped in terms of making sure that disputes are resolved out of court. So mediation as a form of an alternative dispute resolution. Apologies.
You'll have to unmute yourself again.
Yeah. So like I was saying, mediation practice in Nigeria has actually been in existence even before now. And it's just about what has been happening and how we can become better people and live together in peace, So mediation itself has been happening informally. Before we had the multi-door courthouse in Nigeria, in Lagos precisely, where mediation takes place. And as it is in Nigeria, we have various mediation multi-door courthouses, and there are three ways to bring in these cases even to the multi-door courthouses. There are court referrals, and there is walk-in cases, that also happen. And there is also a direct intervention by the workers of the mediation multi-door courthouse. And oftentimes I begin to wonder how lawyers are also mediators. At what point do they remove their law, thinking to be mediators? But I know that some people are able to manage the system, and it's one of the questions I really want to throw up to you. How mediators mediate, and they're also lawyers, and how are they able to, marry the two together?
You want me
So
to answer?
looking at the show,
Yeah. Please remind me that you want me to answer this, because I will want to answer this. So I will definitely.
I look forward to that. So looking at the mediation process that is existing in Nigeria, where a court has to refer cases to the AGL from the court, and when there is agreement, when there is settlement, there is also needs to go back to the court and to make sure that it's registered back to the court. And I begin to wonder how this works and how is it actually increasing the space of mediation. So that has also been a question that I asked. I'm not a lawyer. And like I said, I came into mediation via my work and working directly with communities and with people at the grassroots level. So, but having done mediation as a course and having been trained and started practicing mediation at the multi-door courts in my state. Like I mentioned in the inaugural, it was the pro bono, and I'm still yet to end as a mediator, but I mean, it's something that I am doing voluntarily and a few other people, because of the passion, even though you will not like that aspect of it. But I believe that, we start from somewhere, and the truth is that mediation is already something that is on the increase. People are becoming aware of the process, and people are becoming to use mediation to settle disputes. I would talk a little bit about the dispute resolution, conflict resolution in the Igbo land of Nigeria. Before now, the pre-colonial days, there were many principles guiding conflict resolution in traditional African society. So in the Igbo tradition, there is what we call the Amala people. And these are the council of elders. And these are the people who also see to issues. And when there are conflicts within the community, they come together to resolve it. And this has been in existence over the years and is working for us. I remember growing up when there are land issues, people come together under the tree and they table their issues, and the elders look at it and they resolve it. For me, it's worked perfectly well, because people who go to court, we see them as people who probably don't want to live long because the process is so long, it's taking so much time, there is enmity, it's transferred from one generation to another generation. But resolving issues, and oftentimes, even then, like 20 years back, issues that are taken to court, sometimes the court refer them to the family or to the community, say, go and settle amongst yourself. So that means there is something that's been working for us, before colonization came to be. And I also like the aspect of indigenous mediation that, was also part of the symposium months back. Talking about what has been in existence, what is working for us as people, and what has really gone bad, that is not working. So that's why I want to talk a little bit about the Umada system that is in existence here in Nigeria. Well, the Umada simply means women who are born in a particular community but are married, and they see to resolving issues, that happens in communities. Even though they don't resolve all issues, but their role has been very, very significant. They are not just, it's an indigenous mediation body that helps to resolve conflict. And it has been in existence and it's been working even till date. So the thing about mediation and seeing that it's something we try to enhance and not to allow it to just die off. So it is a body that helps in resolving issues, even though it's a women group thing, but it's so effective and it's so respectful. They respect that process, in the southeastern part of Nigeria. So these women traditional conflict resolution, their roles in the community is to make sure that there is peace, there is harmony, and it's so effective, like I mentioned. And this has really made me to think that we cannot throw away what we have or what has been working for us. So is that mindset that we need to run with even as mediators? Is that mindset that we need to understand that something is working for us and how do we make it more effective? Yes, there is a process. It may not be the formal process of introduction, confidentiality, and all that process that is outlined for us, but it's something that they come together to resolve conflicts. And that's why I'm saying that those things that are working for us needs to be improved and needs to be enhanced as far as mediation is concerned. So that's about the mediation system that the UMA does also go into in the Igbo community of Nigeria. So
where do you want me to start? First, lawyers and mediators, that aspect of it. Yes. For me, you wanted me to answer that. You wanted me to answer that now. Yeah. So I'll tell you what happened is that
this was because it's a bordering question.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what the concept was. Lawyers, that whole profession is a noble profession, and is called a noble profession for a reason. That was the whole idea of a lawyer. Again, this is something given to us by the British. I mean, that whole layer which Wale was, who was in the symposium from Nigeria, he was telling us step by step how the British came in and how this layer of a lawyer was created to represent people, and people are not coming out and giving their own facts, and someone else is doing it, and you're playing with the system, and how you're in some way you're looking at loopholes and all. So that's one way of how it went about. But for me, I look at it as a person that you go to who is able to understand, first of all, what your issues are, and then to help you resolve it in the best manner. That's what the responsibility of a lawyer is. So it could be that just tell them to talk to the other side, or you can get that communication going, or you can mediate, or you can then give them options of what else, because it is not all about mediation or negotiation, mediation, arbitration, litigation. There are a lot of other ways of resolving disputes. I mean, it's not the only limited things which we are told. So whatever works best for the person who's come to you, because you have, when it's a noble profession, it means you're not looking at your self-interest. It's not your feast that you look at. Your whole idea was supposed to be, I'm saying, the way what we look at the profession, the way it's gone, I don't look at it that way. And I put down on my website also what Mahatma Gandhi had said about his experience as a mediator or as a lawyer. I'll put it up for you. I'll show you that. So that's been my thought process right from the time I became a lawyer. That I'll just put that up for you only because it sums up what I was saying, and Mahatma Gandhi's word to it adds to it. Vikram Singh is saying is a different thing. Mahatma Gandhi is saying is different. So this is what he said. Just have a look at this. As a lawyer, I totally relate to Mahatma Gandhi's experience. My joy was boundless. I had learned the true practice of law. I had learned to find out the better side of human nature and enter men's hearts. I realized that the true function of a lawyer was to unite parties riven asunder. The lesson was so indelibly burnt into me that a large part of my time during the 20 years of my practice as a lawyer was occupied in bringing about private compromises of hundreds of cases. I lost nothing thereby, not even money, certainly not my soul. Sums it up. That's what the concept is. So there is no conflict between that. It's the way we are looking at the way the profession is. That's the way you are looking at, and you're looking at it around you. You're looking at lawyers around you, their approach to the whole concept. But that doesn't, what is happening doesn't have to be the right thing that's happening. So,
Mhm.
so we have to look at it the way it was supposed to be. Even in the medical profession, today the medical profession has become a business, and that
Yeah.
I mean the private, the whatever you have these hospitals and all the way they have created that structure. I don't know about Nigeria. I know here they're businesses. The lawyer,
Yeah.
the doctors have they have certain targets that you have to do this, you have to do so many surgeries and all that. So now we should not look at doctors as that. Yes, those doctors or what is happening is something which I don't blame lawyers or doctors. When you create a materialistic society and that person is part of that society, how do you expect that person to rise above everything? When you value people not on what they are as people, but what they have, what car is he
Yeah.
driving? Now you will go to a lawyer because of the fancy car he drives, because you think he's a more successful lawyer because of that. So you have connected all these things together. So you've made the person who they are. I don't blame them at all. They are part of that society. They have children who are growing up in that society. Why should they tell them you rise above everything, wear a cloak, a simple cloak, and walk around? They don't want to tell them that. They're part of a society. So it's the society by itself that we have to look at, and not in isolation, a profession or anything. Basic idea of a doctor or a lawyer is how can we help them, not looking at your self-interest, only looking at that. That's what it is supposed to be. How do we go back to that? Similarly with dispute resolution, like you said, there is a certain method which was used and was successfully used. How do we go back to it? Because what we are seeing today, what the colonizer gave us, that is not the natural way of resolving disputes. So to say that that is the way because that's the way we see it, no, we just set it aside. Okay, I mean, we don't fight the system, we can't fight the structure that has been created, and the decolonization process hasn't helped. We've taken the same structure. Nigeria, imagine you are still wearing the wig. we we gave up the wig at least. We've got the robes. You imagine, yes, that is how the colonized structure was so good for those people who could use it for their benefit. They don't want to give it up. So we don't fight that system. We don't, it's banging your head against a wall. Let's not do it. But on the other side, the good people who really want to work with people to help people find ways that they can actually get a livelihood out of it. So this pro bono aspect of yours, you are saying, I mean, you're passionate about it. I'll show you same people in India who are in the court system so passionate. It's been in 17 years since we had the mediation center, the first mediation center open the court. 17 years, nothing has changed. Their passion stays. They practice as litigating lawyers because of the
Yeah.
passion. They put some time into that mediation center. They love it. I mean, they really feel really good that you can settle things, but they come back, practice their litigation, their litigation practice. So this is the way this will go on for another 50 years. Nothing is going to change because the way it's structured is for the convenience of the court system. It has to be free or close to free. Otherwise, why would people go there? They'll question the judiciary. You become efficient. Why do we have to go through another process? All there's a lot of aspects there. So, Ijeoma, we just
Absolutely.
don't even touch this. But we don't want you to do pro bono. It's not pro bono. I'm telling you, those people that you do it for can afford it. Pro bono means that you do it for people
Yeah.
who can't afford it. They can afford it.
Yeah, yes, there absolutely there are people who can't afford, going to the courts, but they have conflicts, they have issues that need to be settled. So in cases like that, like I also heard in one of the mediation centers in Nigeria here in Akwa Ibom, where they pay as low as 500 naira to,
I mean,
for
that's.
registration for you to. So it's something that they can afford and see that their issues are resolved.
But
So it's not for every case,
no, what I'm
that
trying to
it's.
differentiate, Ijeoma, was the between the free and the pro bono. Pro bono is something that you give to people who can't afford something like legal aid. I mean, people understand legal aid because they can't afford it. But
Mhm.
today we are giving it to people who can afford it. They're paying huge amounts to lawyers, but the mediator comes for free. The mediation comes for free. That is.
Yeah, so that's where more awareness on the issue of mediation needs to increase, because it's not something we do free, so to speak, but because it's an upcoming practice, that is gaining a lot of strength. So there is need for people to also understand that it's not free as it's been said. we see mediation as a voluntary thing, or we read that it's voluntary and all that. But the truth is that there are issues, difficult issues that we're not able to settle in court, that were settled out of court through mediation. So if that has happened, between companies that that they can afford to pay, I mean, why not? They should be able to pay. But for people who are not able to, to pay for some reasons, we understand that too. So that's where the voluntary aspect of mediation also come to play. Yeah.
Because
So,
look, please.
yeah,
No,
please
please.
go ahead.
Because no, the process being voluntary and the benefits of
Yeah.
the process.
So,
Yeah, we know all that about because we know that works. The problem is that something that you can get for free, you will not pay for it because you think you don't value it. And I'm giving you the example of someone, a very senior mediator, who's a lawyer, who actually works as a mediator in the Lagos multi-door courthouse. He gave his experience on there was a lecture that he had given in my lecture series, and he says, when I walk into that court as a mediator, I am looked at as an inferior person. They look at me because of the amount I get. They say this guy gets as much as a clerk. They look at you from that perspective. Like I told you, the society gauges people on money. And when a lawyer walks in, he looked at it as a different thing. So the class distinction that you are creating between the mediators and the lawyers by itself, how will you respect? Because that process means trust, respect. Even in the traditional system, it was respect for that person whom you wanted to go to or you went to. So that respect concept, you have finished. And without respect, this process doesn't work. There has to be respect. There has to be trust. That's how the function it works. So he's talking about his own experience in the Lagos multi-door coast house. Not even far away. It's there. So that's what you're creating around you. That's the way you're demeaning the mediator and the process. So that is what I am trying to work on, that people respect the person, they respect the process, they trust the process. That's how the foundation, that is what we create, and then it moves into communities and everywhere. What the court system is going to do, it is for their convenience. They will never let the mediator get paid properly. They are going to stop that, because I'm telling you, it'll be challenged. In some countries, it was challenged that how can you tell someone to go for a process when the whole court system has been set up to give justice. The person has come to you for justice. How can you send them on to another process? It has been challenged on that. So if it is given for free, people will not challenge it. Okay, not a problem. We'll go there. The court is saying we'll go there. So they won't challenge it. So it's to keep people quiet. Mediator gets finished in the process. I mean, imagine that a person who's actually helping some person resolve something, and it's a finality to the entire thing, gets paid, I think, for what, Lagos multi-door courthouse, maybe $40 for the entire mediation. You would tell me the exact figure, but it's about $40 is what I understood. $40? I mean, can you imagine that someone can actually, even this day and age, you are just playing on people's passion aspect of it. Oh, they're getting to work there. I mean, please, just don't do it to mediation, because finally, if people are going to use the process, they will have to trust the process and respect the process, and it will never happen.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree to that. And but I also think that there is also need, like we said, to value the practice of mediation, and this can only come by understanding that it's not something that you just walk into and you get. So there should be some level of knowing that this is also the hard work put in, even in the court, to understand the conflict and to know how to come in as a mediator. I mean, it's not something you just walk into and start mediating. You need to also know the story, to be able to analyze it, to be able to know how to come in and to resolve the issue. So it also boils down to the issue of more awareness about the mediation system and how mediation works, and knowing that it's a profession on its own, but at the same time, our mindset and our mentality needs to change, how we see even mediators. So the issue of respect, the issue of value, the issue of trust also come to be. So that will also help going forward in the mediation practice.
And Ijeoma, the best part is that people know those people. They know who those people are, whom they can trust, whom they respect, whom they want as mediators. We don't need to do anything. We just have to ask them. They will give us, which is what you're going to do with me when we do this. We create that circle, mediation circle in your community and wherever. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to ask them. They will give you the name of those people. You tell them about the process, they will tell you they know about the process. So everything is known. So they know everything. All that we just need to connect them together, and we just need people who can actually put them together, and which is what you read about my World Mediation Circle. That's all that's required to start with. And beyond that, as people get more experience in it and they start using it a lot more, this will become their only livelihood. Profession part of it is still something we have to keep discussing, whether it's a profession or not, whether it's a way of life, whatever. So those are things which we will come up which cover. But Ijeoma, please connect it all to colonization, and at some stage you'll have to unmute yourself also.
Yeah, like I said, colonization in its own has actually left us with some challenges that is still ongoing. And we just have to understand that we need to improve as individuals, not minding what colonization has, done to us as an individual, as a nation, as a region. So it boils down to having a different way of handling issues and understanding that this is already with us. Like I was discussing with somebody and she said, we are not free from colonization.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want you to get.
We are not free from colonization, even though we are decolonized, but there are still things that's like the education system, the religion, all of that is with us. How do we throw this away? So it's part of colonization, or what colonization. And I also say there is negative and positive aspect of colonization, but weighing the two, just like we have in India and in Nigeria. So we understand that the impact is so much and people are still having the feelings, the negative feelings of colonization.
Exactly. So it's so entrenched into society, entrenched into people's mind. There is that to be able to decolonize the mind. I think that is where the challenge lies. And I think what we have to do is to have discussions on leave this structure behind, whatever has been created by the colonizer. How for your own country, what is the structure in relation to dispute resolution that you would feel is what can work based on whatever traditions, the mindset of the people, whatever. I mean, working on that. So that's what we're going to do after this. In maybe next month, we'll be looking at that part as to how we can, and this can be country wise, or is there a global thing? We'll discuss that. So I think we need to be able to, but for that, even to discuss it, you have to come with a decolonized mind. Again, I asked some people, I was saying, and they still are looking at that structure and saying how we can tinker with it. So I'm saying come with a decolonized mind. How would you look at it? How would your setup be? What would the legislation look like? And how would you want to create if there are structures throughout the country, whatever? Totally open. There is no problem. It just needs an open mind. So that's what's going to happen. Ijeoma, please start thinking about it, because I'm going to set up a date for that.
Yeah, well, I look forward to that. But you see, it also has a lot to do with the leadership, the governance, the leadership of our nation. So it's not just what mediators are going to do, but
Ijeoma, you are
it
coming
cuts
back.
across
Sorry, you are
the
coming
leadership
in.
system.
Coming into it with
Yeah,
the
we
colonized mindset.
cannot
I want
take,
you to remove that. No thing.
no,
There
we
is no leader.
cannot take away.
You are the leader.
Well,
I'm saying you are the leader.
Yes, we are the leaders, but
Yeah.
the truth is that we are being governed by a particular group of people. So we are leaders in our various communities and in our various families. So the mindset has to go, like we were discussing in the inaugural, saying that we have to pass this across even to our children, having the mediators, the youths and the children as mediators, how they can be able to resolve conflict, even among themselves as children, that's kind of mindset needs to start at a younger age. Like I shared, what happened years back, with my grandmom telling us stories of how a particular community, how they also contributed during the war and also affected and all that. So it sticked in my memory, even seeing those communities, I still remember that. So how do we begin to decolonize the mindset?
Exactly.
So going forward, I think that's what you have rightly said, and we need to work towards it, starting from the family, starting from the younger.
Because Ijeoma, the thing is that when you talk about the children, I gave you that example. I don't know whether I gave you that time or not, about how that their mindset has already become colonized, and at a very young age. And this is again a example from Nigeria, that this person's son walked in, and I asked the son, if there is a dispute, a fight, I call it a fight, not a dispute, fight between your friends, would you help them to resolve it? And he says, no, I will not, because the teacher will not like it. Authority figure in their mind for resolving disputes has already seeped in. That is where you have, that's why to break that whole thing, it has to be something, even like in your case, like you, when you spoke about it, the first thing that came in on was the leaders part of it or whatever. I'm saying that for a moment, think that we are a democracy. I mean, you are a democracy, it is a people's government. So as you as a person is what the country is. Your thought process, if it is for the welfare of the country and for the people, is what the thought process of the country will be, because you are as reasonable as a person as can be. So if your reasonable thoughts have a certain vision, have a certain kind of a, I mean, structure that you feel will be what other people have in their mind. And that is how the whole thing grows. Because if, like this, which is what I've been talking about, when this is a long-term thing about the World Mediation Circle, is mediators as leaders and leaders as mediators. So mediators, when they create that environment around them, they have those reasons. They have, first of all, they have to be the reasonable people in that community, the fair people. When we talk about creating a dialogue and creating a certain consensus, that was what how these communities used to function. So in your way, you are representing the country. So, so that will how, when you think that yes, you in some way can influence how the future is going to be, that's when change happens. So that's why when we sit and talk about this, we will totally think that you are the leader. You are the one who creates the structure for the country. How would you do it? You have no baggage of the current government. You don't have a baggage of the judicial system. You have no baggage now. Everything left. Ijeoma, based on what her grandmother told her, what upbringing she's had, what her thought processes, she looks at a structure from that perspective. So let's see what comes out. What's the harm? What's the worst that can happen? Nothing will come out of it. Let's see. It's just a way that we have to start looking at it from on a blank slate. That's why that's the next step. Up till now, we were discussing indigenous peoples and mediation, colonization. Now, next step is to break out of this and go back to see whether, and unless we have to be careful. Even in Nigeria, it's not that all communities were working on a, okay, no, let's not use the word mediation, because they were not using the word mediation, but a collaborative process was not always there. There were leaders or tribal head or chiefs and all who were deciding for people. So that aspect also we need to differentiate, that was not all communities had that collaborative approach. There were people who were deciding for them. So we have to move away from that. So not all indigenous methods are what we need to carry forward, because that is again ruling over people. So if you're ruling over people and you're taking decisions, even if it was indigenous peoples, we don't want to take that process further, then, because then you're not a free country, you're still being ruled in the mind or otherwise. So that's what how I'm looking at it, Ijeoma.
That colonized within by the people. So giving them that opportunity to also rule, even though the process at which they were using them was not, very comfortable for, the general people. So, like you said, we're looking at what has worked and what the indigenous people have done that's also promoted peace, because all of this is about building peace and building a healthy environment and building a good relationship even amongst us. So those that worked should be strengthened and should be carried forward. And those that did not work, take for instance, even then among our communities where you have the royal highnesses, they take decisions, and it's about, they may not be so transparent, but because they have that power as leaders, they take decisions at will, as they choose to. So those were not what we are carrying forward. So those are the things that we need to say, no, we can't continue this way, but we have to look at those aspects that has promoted social cohesion and living peacefully amongst, a tribe or amongst us as a nation.
Absolutely. That's exactly what path we have to do. Pick up the best, put it all together, and then see how that will work, how it has to be. I mean, you need to create structures, whether you need flat structures, you need hierarchical structures, anything. I don't want to influence your thought. Let it be a totally blank canvas. You paint what you want, but think about it. We'll get some time. I think we'll do it maybe by the end of the month or something next month, whatever, so that you have enough time to think about it. But definitely what you're saying is exactly what it is, what has worked and what has actually been able to generate peace, and how. And what we can do is maybe look at certain communities in Nigeria who, there might be some who are still practicing a certain method. Maybe they've actually, you can find out that they've got a, I mean, I don't know whether consensus is what, because there are certain communities we'll be looking at where everything functions by consensus. That's an ideal situation, whether that happens. But is it happening or not, we'll say, let's find out what's really happening on the ground and take those examples. So should we know, okay, in Nigeria, this is working today. So it's not a theoretical concept. Practically, this is happening. The community is working. Yeah. And we will take the people who are part of that community, let's get them into the discussion. Let's ask them how it functions, because that might be a decolonized mind, which is already existing. So let's bring them in, how that thought process is, because one is you think that, okay, this is some theoretical concept, will it work, not work? And on the other hand, we might have people who practically are using it, and they will give you a totally different picture, how it works, how they go about it, what has happened, what issues they faced, all that. I think so. So let's do that. I think we'll come out with something good. And what's the worst that can come out? What's the worst that can come out? We won't come out with something. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. We definitely come up with something. So it's about carrying this message around us at the family level, at the community level, and everybody is involved. So we need to decolonize mindset. Absolutely. It's very important.
That's it. And the earlier we do it, the better it is. Because like I said, a young child must be about 7, 8 years old. In his mind, already authority figure has come in. Dispute resolution is going to be done by an authority figure. He's already got it in his mind at that young age. So that person is going to move into society with that thought process. So immediately when dispute resolution happens, the court system, authority figure taking a decision for you. That's the way the whole process is being churned in that manner itself. And that's why things don't change, because you've been able to influence right at the root of the whole thing, that you've placed an authority figure concept in their mind. And I'm not, look, for that, the thing is that if you want to create that environment, now whether the teachers in that school are going to be able to understand that this is going to be the children's process, they have to resolve that for their fights within themselves, are they going to be able to create that atmosphere, or do they like that the authority figure that they've become for children? So that's going to be one challenge. Maybe be one challenge. I'm not going to. I'm not saying. Look, I don't want to put it into yes. That will be a challenge. Hopefully, there won't be a challenge. But we should be open to seeing that that might happen and how we have to look at it, because I don't think that people want to give up control. Not easily.
Not easily. Yeah, not easily.
So how do we get them to do that? We definitely we go along. Look, it's a work in progress. I keep saying it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. It's a
We'll
work in
refine
progress.
it. We'll refine it as we go along. We'll see where issues are happening. If a certain mindset is coming in the way, how we can change that. So we'll keep working on it. I mean, we'll start small. I'm saying just pick up one school, one community. That's it. One organization. That's it. Let's start with that. Create that environment there, and that becomes your model for other people to see. So that similarly, like I'm saying, yeah. So like I'm saying right now, there might be a community in Nigeria who might be working in a manner where amicably they're resolving the dispute. So it becomes an example. Let's go there, find out from them. Similarly, if we create those communities, they will become an example for other people. Okay, they are functioning this way. It can happen. Let's talk to them. How did they set it up? And that's how things will grow. So maybe it's so small that it is just one community, but today we have, of course, social media. We have everything. If they document, we record their experience, and why not? You just might go viral. Who knows? And people might take to it, because I'm saying finally, in the heart of everyone, they want to amicably resolve things. But because that's why this whole colonization thing I keep talking about, because those are unnatural things that happen. The entire thing was unnatural. I mean, you don't divide communities. That whole divide and rule that we're talking about, that's not a natural thing to do. It's not a. I mean, that's yesterday. I don't know that Cecil's session. I don't know whether you watched that, and I was giving that example to Payal also. Imperialism and colonization. The difference being, she was talking about the Ottoman Empire and how there they actually had these peacemakers. So it was encouraged. Peacemakers were encouraged. So that's how an empire grew. And colonizer did not want that. Colonizer system and the way it went about it was totally different. So that was not the right, or I mean, of course, it was not the right way. But so that aspect, being an unnatural concept gone in, to undo it, we'll find our ways. Ijeoma will definitely find some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll find a way. So I think it's been a very wonderful conversation, and you are also decolonizing our mind, to think to think as a mediator, and also to take it, at a gradual process, knowing that for us to decolonize the mind, we need to take it gradually. So what you've been doing is quite commendable. So at our own local settings, we need to also make sure that we're doing something in order to achieve a peaceful society. So I must commend you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ijeoma. Farzeen is here.
Thank you.
Farzeen is also, that his session is also going to be very interesting. But Farzeen, you want to meet Ijeoma?
Yes, hi. Hi, Ijeoma. Farzeen, how's it going?
And Farzeen is going to, of course, tell us about himself.
I think there's a little bit of a delay.
Hi, Farzeen, you're welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, great seeing you. I'm looking forward to this, to our discussion.
And Farzeen, of course, is going to tell us about himself in his session. But Ijeoma will tell us about herself to Farzeen. But first, what I want to do is, before we end your session, Ijeoma, I just want to put up the website so that people can, at least they know where to find information. This is, of course, this particular symposium, the people who've been there. So, I mean, it's not large enough. I mean, in much larger, the next year we'll have a large one, but at least from New Zealand to Vietnam, Nigeria, Turkey, and Canada, and Malaysia. I mean, we got a cross section: Cameroon, Philippines, Ecuador, Ireland. So there've been some thoughts we've got from everywhere. So I think we've got quite a cross section of people. And otherwise, where do people find information? Ijeoma, do you actually go to the website? Do you actually check out there about the information on the activities? Ijeoma, have you gone there? Or have you gone to mediatorvikram.com?
Yeah, I hope to do that.
Okay, so basically you know where to find information. So
yes, I went to the mediation cycle.
okay, so basically, of course, have you? I mean, we connect on all the social media, and connecting to me is the easiest thing to do. But the World Mediation Circle, definitely, I don't know whether you read about it, so you read about it. And then we talk about the shows and events. And here is where the last symposium, this symposium, Mediators, World Mediators Conference, all the schedules are there. So, and of course, all the various shows, so all that is there. So you just click here and you go there, the YouTube playlist. I tried to put everything down because look, thing is that there's so many now. If you have 400 plus videos, I didn't want to list all of them out here. But the other shows that I have, that evolution of a mediator and
that's so much.
Yeah, so if you click here, then you go to the playlist on YouTube, so you can have a look. What I've done is there's a section on YouTube where I've actually listed out the various episodes of Evolution of a Mediator and In Conversation with a Beautiful Mind. So I put it there, and the lectures about mediation. There's a section there. So talking books, of course, is, I mean, there've been some books only. Mediator experiences, there's a special section. So I think these are this. I mean, there's so much. I don't know whether Farzeen also knows about all this. Farzeen, have you ever got time to watch any of this?
Not watch, but I have browsed the website before.
Okay, so there's lots to watch, Farzeen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it actually.
So the only thing is that we have 8 minutes to go for your session, so we should start on time, not before time. Is that okay? So Ijeoma is going to maybe tell us more about what work she's doing. Ijeoma, you want to tell Farzeen about the work you're doing?
Okay, Farzeen, I'm a Nigerian, as you can see. I work with a non-governmental organization, majorly on community projects and working towards resolving issues that arise from community development projects, and also learning in the process of mediation too. So nice to meet you.
But Farzeen, I wanted to add, is there no other country I can add to your name? Is it only USA, or can I some other roots that you have which I can add to this?
Well, I was born in Iran, so
can I write
think
that?
You can maybe write that. I don't have any sort of. I came as a kid, so I grew up in the U.S. So
that's good enough. That's good enough.
Well,
I'll tell you the idea behind. I'll tell you the idea behind it is that you do bring in, because of your parents and what culture. At home, what you heard, you bring in that aspect into whatever you're talking about. So that's why I put it out there, because we're getting a perspective from Iran, maybe without you also knowing it, or maybe you know it.
Sure.
So we are getting that. So why not put it out there? That yes, the other thing is, the other aspect is the stereotypes that people have about countries. So I want to put it up for there also, because you might have experienced one person from Iran and your whole concept of Iran is based on that person. No, it doesn't work that way. There are people, there are wonderful people from every country out there. If you listen to them, you get to know. So that's the idea behind the putting the countries. And if I knew earlier on the poster also, I would have put the Iran part of it. But you've seen, I don't know whether you've seen the poster. I put different countries wherever, like that Huma, she studies in Iran, but she's from Afghanistan. So I put Iran there because today she lives there. So she's, whatever is happening around her, she will bring a thought process from there. So that's how it is. So what we'll do is we'll end Ijeoma's session. So Ijeoma, thank you very much. And pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what I told Ijeoma Farzeen was that what we are going to do next month, maybe next month only, everyone is going to come. It's going to be a blank canvas. Now, how would you want dispute resolution, specifically amicable dispute resolution, mediation? How would you want it structured in your country? Just remove this whole colonization mindset. We come with a totally decolonized mindset. No tinkering with the existing system. No, we just come. Let's see how it has to function based on, of course, if we can get actual experiences from a country, let's get those examples, get those people into the conversation, how they've set it up. So that's going to be the exercise, Farzeen. Please, you also have to be part of that. We'll do that. So thank you very much, Ijeoma. I'm going to close this session.